Picture this. You walk into a room where the people you love are already mid-conversation about plans you didn't know existed. Your chest tightens. That old familiar urge rises up to start arranging, convincing, managing, fixing. You want to be seen. You want to be included. You want things to go the way that keeps everyone happy. And deep down, you believe that if you just try a little harder, speak a little louder, explain a little more, it would all fall into place. But instead of diving into the swirl, you pause, you take a breath, and two small words land like a quiet anchor in your mind. Let them. Let them have the conversation. Let them choose the plan. Let them think what they think. You shift your attention from the storm to the steering wheel you actually hold. Something softens. You're still here. You can decide how you will spend your energy, how you will respond, what your next right move will be. In that moment, you stop being swept away by other people's weather and start stepping into your own climate. This is not giving up. This is giving yourself back. Because when you stop trying to control what was never yours, you finally have the strength to build what always was. Here's what we're doing together today. We're talking about the let them theory, a simple, radical way of living made popular by Mel Robbins that takes those two words and turns them into a daily practice. At first, the idea sounds almost too simple. Just let them? Let people show you who they are? Let them have their opinions? Let them make their choices? But the real power is what those two words unlock in you. They separate what exhausts you from what expands you. They break the invisible habit of micromanaging other people's reactions and redirect that energy towards something far more productive: your choices, your boundaries, your peace. If you've been tired of carrying the weight of other people's moods, if you've been bending yourself into versions that don't fit, if you've been waiting on someone else's approval to start, this conversation is your turning point. We're going to walk through the core ideas of the book in plain language, translate them into real life, and then build simple steps you can use today. You'll hear stories that feel like yours. You'll get questions that nudge you toward your own answers. And by the end, my promise is this: you won't just understand the let them theory, you'll feel it living in your bones as a way of moving through your relationships, your work, your goals, and your days with more clarity, more courage, and a lot more calm. Let's start with the heartbeat of the idea. Let them is the boundary. Let me is the agency. Together, they form a pair that changes everything. Let them is the moment you stop wrestling with another person's choices, opinions, or timing. Let me is the turn inward where you choose what you will do next. Think of a friend who bails on plans. Again, let them. People reveal their priorities by their patterns. You don't need a speech, you need data. Let me is what follows. Let me decide if I keep investing the same energy or if I begin investing in friends who want to show up. Let them is not passive. It's a filter. It drains the noise so you can finally hear your own signal. Let me is movement. It's the choice that puts your hand back on the wheel of your life. Why does this matter so much? Because most of us are carrying hidden engines called control and approval. Control tries to rearrange the world so we feel safe. Approval tries to prepay rejection by managing what others think. Both engines eat your fuel and never take you where you truly want to go. Let them interrupts both. When you say let them, you are not abandoning care. You are abandoning the fantasy that if you just try hard enough, you can force outcomes. People are allowed to be who they are. You are allowed to respond with clarity. That's the trade that brings you peace. Fear of other people's opinions. You post something you're proud of, and hours later, someone you barely know comments a passive-aggressive line. Insta spiral. That invisible hunger to be seen as smart, kind, right, accomplished. Together, it gets loud. Let them. Let them underestimate you. Let them misunderstand. Let them have their narrative. And then let me. Let me choose to keep making, keep sharing, keep showing up as the person I'm becoming, not the one they think I am. If you've ever slowed down your growth to fit inside someone else's comfort, ask yourself, who pays the cost when I let fear of their opinions set the speed limit of my life? What would it look like to remove their imagined judgments from the equation and choose the action that aligns with your values anyway? When you feel the flare, your chest tightens, your stomach drops, count down from 5. That simple countdown interrupts the reflex to people please or defend. As you reach 1, breathe. Say the words out loud if you can. Let them. Then ask the only 3 questions that matter. What is in my control right now? What is out of my control, and can I accept that? What is the smallest action I can take that honors me? Maybe the action is silence. Maybe it's unfollowing. Maybe it's sending the thing you want to share to the group that actually supports you. The point is not to win an argument. The point is to stop spending your life trying to manage other people's weather. Let's walk into a messy scenario. A family member makes a cutting remark at dinner. You feel the heat rise and the old need to correct, to explain, to fix. Let them. Let them believe what they need to believe. Your job is not to teach a grown adult how to treat you with basic respect. Your job is to treat yourself with basic respect. Let me quietly step away. Let me change the subject. Let me say, I'm not available for that kind of comment. And then release the outcome. The magic isn't that people will suddenly behave. The magic is that your peace is no longer held hostage by whether they do. Here's another place the book urges you to use this lens. Comparison. The scroll is designed to make you forget you already have enough, and are on time for your life. Someone else is ahead. Someone else got there faster. Someone else seems to have it perfect. Let them. Let them share their highlight reel. Let them do it the way that fits their strengths. Let them have results that look bigger for now. Let me return to my lane. Let me choose the work that compounds quietly. Let me define success as depth, not applause. Try an experiment for a week. Before you open any app, set a 10-minute timer and do the smallest real action toward a goal you care about. Send the email, outline the pitch, take the first steps of the workout. Then, if you still want to scroll, go ahead. But you've already put a brick into your own house before you peek at someone else's. Ask yourself at the end of the week, did those tiny bricks change how I felt about my progress? Friendship is another chapter we have to face as adults. Some friendships are for a season. Some are for a stretch. A few are for the long road. We often suffer because we refuse to accept which one we're holding. Your friend stops initiating. Your texts go unanswered for days. The old you would chase, over-explain, make excuses for them, or create a story that you're not worth choosing. Let them. Let them drift if that's where their energy is. Let the data of their actions tell the truth their words won't. Let me recalibrate. Let me invest in the people who text back, who celebrate my wins unsolicited, who love me in public and in private. Let me become the kind of friend I want to keep. Ask yourself, if I stopped chasing, which friendships would still breathe? And if the answer stings, can I honor the grief without begging for crumbs? What about love? Romance tends to activate our deepest controlling habits because attachment is ancient. We want certainty. We want reciprocity. We want to feel chosen. You go on a few dates, the connection feels promising, then the texting gets spotty. You can feel your mind start designing strategies, a witty message to hook them, a casual story to provoke a response, a sudden shift to mirror their interest. Pause. Let them. Let them reveal themselves. Consistency doesn't need coaching. If someone wants to show up, they will. And if they don't, you don't want the performance anyway. Let me decide what kind of love I'm building my life around. Let me choose to stop auditioning and start discerning. Ask yourself this tonight. If I believed my time and heart are valuable, what behavior would I no longer tolerate? If I believed my love is rare, what standard would rise? Conflict is inevitable. The let them theory doesn't pretend otherwise. What it does is change your role inside conflict. You don't have to enroll in every drama you're invited to. A coworker sends a sharp email, CCs the team, and ends with a dig that begs for a fight. Let them. Let them posture in public if that's how they feel powerful. Then let me be specific and brief. Thank you for the note. Here's the status. Here's what I need by Friday. If they escalate, you document. You keep receipts. You bring solutions, not brawls. And when needed, you move the conversation to a higher level with a clear ask. The goal isn't to be a doormat. The goal is to be a door. Hinged, grounded, opening for what aligns, closing to what doesn't. Ask yourself, when was the last time I mistook reactivity for strength? What would strength look like if it were quiet, consistent, and focused on outcomes? Then there's leadership. Whether you lead a team, a family, or a project, you've already learned the hard way that you cannot force someone to care. You can set expectations. You can model the standard. You can provide resources and feedback. But motivation lives inside each person's choice. Let them. Let them own their results. Let me define the scoreboard that matters, communicate it, and hold it. Let me coach those who are coachable and hold boundaries with those who aren't. Imagine this simple script in your next one-on-one. Here's the outcome we committed to. Here's where we are. What support do you need from me? What's your next concrete step and by when? Then you stop trying to drag adults across finish lines they don't want. You become the kind of leader people trust because your standards are clear and your emotions are calm. Ask yourself, where am I confusing rescuing with leading? Where could I replace nagging with clarity and consequences? Parents face a special kind of test with letting go because love can turn into control without us noticing. Your teenager won't wear a coat in the cold. Your toddler throws a fit at bedtime. Your college kid is drifting. Let them doesn't mean let them drown. It means you separate what is theirs to experience from what is yours to guide. You choose connection over coercion. You stop power struggles you can't win. You say, I'm here to help you figure this out. And you mean it. You let natural consequences teach when lectures won't. And you also let yourself be human. Let me apologize when I overreact. Let me repair the relationship after I lose it. Let me pick the battles that actually shape character. Ask yourself at the end of the day, did I try to control my kid or did I try to coach them? Which one built trust? Now let's switch to the inside, your own mind. The let them theory sounds external, but the hardest person to let be is you. You have parts that are scared, angry, protective, impulsive, tired. You've tried to control them through shame and white knuckling. That rarely works. Let them. Let the fear part speak for a minute. Let the angry part tell you what boundary was crossed. Let the tired part say it needs a simpler plan.
Listening doesn't mean agreeing. It means understanding the signal before you choose the action. Then let me decide the next loving step. Let me choose a plan so small I can't resist it. Let me design a day that matches my nervous system, not someone else's highlight reel. Ask yourself, what if I treated my inner world like a team I'm responsible to, not a battlefield I have to win? Let's talk about the corollary that changes messy moments. Let them, let me, and then move. You don't stay stuck in noticing, you act, even if it's small. When someone is late again, let them. Then let me decide to start without them. When a client keeps pushing the scope without paying, let them make the request. Then let me put it in writing, add a fee, and ask for a signature. When your partner forgets a date you care about, let them be human. Then let me communicate early next time, add a calendar reminder, or plan it myself and invite them. This isn't martyrdom, it's ownership. You become the architect of your outcomes instead of the critic of everyone else's behavior. A powerful shift happens when you treat people's actions as data instead of drama. You remove the insults, you see the information. Data says, this person communicates last minute. Drama adds, they don't respect me. Data says, this manager prefers control. Drama adds, they want me to fail. Data says, this friend never asks follow-up questions. Drama adds, I'm boring. When you use data, your responses get smarter. You build systems around how people really are instead of how you wish they were. And you use your energy to design a life that fits you. Ask yourself, what's the data of this situation? What am I adding that makes it heavier? Let's put all of this into a single day so you can feel how it works. Morning. You wake up and your mind starts listing all the ways someone else needs to change. Pause. Let them. Then ask, what is one thing I can do in the next 10 minutes that moves my life forward? Make the call, open the doc, drink the water. Midday. A coworker drops the ball and you feel panic rising because now the deadline is at risk. Let them own their miss. Then let me send a concise update with options. Here's where we are. Here are 2 paths. Here's my recommendation. Please confirm. Afternoon. You scroll and start feeling behind. Let them have their moment. Let me put my phone in the other room for 20 minutes and work on my thing. Evening. A family member tries to bait you into an old argument. Let them try. Let me say, I care about you and I'm not going to have this conversation tonight. We can talk when we're both calm. Then you go take a walk. None of these moves are flashy, but stacked together, they change the architecture of your day. You stop bleeding energy where you have no leverage. You start investing it where you do.
There's also a chapter of letting go that hurts and heals, letting people leave. You cannot hold someone who wants to go. You can grip harder, explain longer, bargain softer. But if their decision is to leave, your company, your team, your friendship, your bed, let them. Grief is not a failure. It's a graduation into a truer life. Let me grieve without turning the sadness into a story that I am unlovable or unworthy. Let me clear space to meet the aligned people and opportunities that need room to land. At some point, you will realize the most loving thing you can do for someone who does not choose you is to stop making them your project. Ask yourself, if I weren't trying to keep them, what would I be building instead? But what about the moments when letting go feels like endorsing harm? What about injustice or abuse or crossing a red line? This is where nuance matters. Let them doesn't mean you stay silent about harm. It means you stop trying to control the person who is choosing harm.
And you put your energy into action that protects life and dignity. You document. You set boundaries with consequences. You leave. You seek support. You use systems and laws. You tell the truth. Let them reveals you can't change someone's character for them. Let me remind you that you can change your proximity, your plans, your support structure, and your future. Ask yourself, what part of this do I need help with? Who can stand with me while I make the next right move? There's a subtle but life-changing upgrade that shows up once you practice this for a while. You start letting people surprise you. When you stop scripting everyone, you create space to see their growth without clinging to their past. The friend who used to flake begins showing up. You notice and say so. The partner who avoided hard talks initiates one. You don't punish them for the old pattern by doubting the new effort. You let them become who they're becoming. Let me match that energy with gratitude and with my own growth. Ask yourself, who in my life deserves a fresh read? Who have I decided is always like this? And how could I soften that label? Finally, bring this to your goals. The biggest person you've been trying to control might be your future self. You told yourself you'd become a disciplined person on Monday. Then Monday became a museum of reasons. The let them theory sneaks in here too. Let your past self be the person who didn't do it perfectly. Let yesterday be yesterday. Let the guilt exist without letting it drive. Then let me do the smallest version today. 5 minutes, 1 page, 1 call. When you master small, you become trustworthy to yourself. When you become trustworthy to yourself, other people's opinions carry less weight, not because you've become indifferent, but because you've become anchored. So here is a challenge that feels like a gift. For the next week, pick a single area to test this. Relationships, work, health, money. Pick one. Every time you feel the urge to manipulate an outcome, pause. Count down from 5. Whisper, let them. Breathe. Then ask the 3 questions. What's in my control right now? What's out of my control, and can I accept it? What's my smallest next step that honors me? Write down what happens. Write down what doesn't happen. Notice the energy that returns to you when you stop trying to carry what's not yours. You don't have to do this perfectly. You do it honestly. And if you slip, and you will, you get to practice on yourself. Let me be human. Let me begin again. I want to share a personal style scene to ground this. Imagine you and I are sitting across from each other at a quiet coffee shop. You're telling me about the person you can't stop thinking about. They finally texted. Then they disappeared. You replay every message. You wonder if you said too much. You're tempted to craft a perfect paragraph that will pull them back. I'm listening, really listening, because I've been there. Then I ask you to try something radical. What if you didn't text tonight? What if you let them be exactly who they're showing you they are right now? Not to punish them, but to honor you. And then, what if you let yourself do something that reminds you of your own aliveness instead? Take a night class. Call the friend who laughs with you. Go for a sweaty run in the rain. You look at me like I've asked you to jump without a net. I know that feeling. I also know the thrill of realizing you can survive not being chosen by one person because you are choosing the life that keeps choosing you back. I ask you, very gently, if this is what love looks like, is it the love you want? And if the answer is no, Are you brave enough to let them go so you can say a bigger yes to yourself? Here's your challenge for today, not next week, today. Pick one place where you are exhausted from trying to control. It might be one conversation you keep rehearsing, one relationship where you're always the fixer, one project where you're carrying more than your share. Name it out loud. Then practice the move. Let them. Let me. Move. Send the short, clear message. Set the boundary and stop explaining after the period. Step away from the argument you've had 100 times. Take an action that invests in your growth with the energy you used to spend managing someone else's growth. Notice how it feels in your body to stand in your lane. Notice where you try to grab control again and smile at the habit without feeding it. Tonight, when you climb into bed, ask yourself one question. Where did I choose myself today without punishing anyone else? That's the muscle. That's freedom. Let's learn this together. The let them theory is not a trick. It's a return. You are returning your time and attention to the only place they can build something real, your choices. You are returning other people's choices back to them with clarity, not cruelty. You are returning to a way of living that is lighter because you're done dragging battles you can't win, and brighter because you finally have the energy to fight the ones that matter. You won't get this perfect. No one does. But you can get it honest. And honesty is enough to change a life. If you remember nothing else from this time together, remember this. You are not responsible for managing the weather of the world. You are responsible for steering your own ship. Let them cloud or storm or shine. Let you chart and sail and anchor where your soul can breathe. 2 small words, 1,000 small choices, a completely different life. Let them, let me, let's go.